4 minutes before top of the hour 9, you're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidi. And we're going to be switching gears now to a very, very interesting conversation. A South African government media briefing on migration quickly becoming, shall we say, an extraordinary diplomatic moment when Nigerian journalist Ireti Bakare-Yusuf challenged Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubai over comments made by Minister in the Presidency Kumbuzon Chaveni, who, I'm sure you saw the video, she previously suggested that Nigeria should identify or should help South Africa identify when Nigerians are allegedly operating drug dens here in the country, instead of seeking compensation for citizens affected by the recent anti-foreign violence. And then this past Sunday, this was during a briefing. Ireti Bakare-Yusuf asked whether the South African government should apologize to Nigerians for what she described as offensive stereotyping. She reminded ministers that Nigerians living in South Africa are professionals. You know, they include doctors, lawyers, academics, and professionals. And she went on to say that she found it troubling that an entire nationality was being associated with peddling drugs. Minister Mamoloko Kubai came on and essentially refused to apologize, insisting the earlier remarks were not directed at all Nigerians and that any diplomatic concerns should be addressed through official government channels. The exchange became increasingly tense, as you can imagine, with Minister Kubai appealing for respect during the briefing. And later on, a video emerged showing, I think it was one of the officials confronting Ireti Bakare-Yusuf after the press conference and essentially threatening to have her removed. The incident came, I think, just a few weeks of strained relations between South Africa and Nigeria following anti-immigration protests that have rocked South Africa since the beginning of the year, and some attacks that we saw on foreign-owned businesses, and also the evacuation of Nigerian nationals from South Africa. So we'll be joined by Ireti Bakare-Yusuf. She's going to be giving us more insight on that exchange, and I think most importantly for me is to try and get her perspective, having been in South Africa during this very, very volatile and charged moment as a Nigerian, as someone who's not from the country, what's her perspective about the reality on the ground and what she's been seeing. And she's joining us via telephone. Ireti, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to News and Views. Always a pleasure.
Good afternoon. Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for joining us. And, I was just chatting to my team earlier on that this is one conversation I want to have with you because you and I have engaged quite a lot. So seeing that, footage making the rounds, like, we definitely have to talk. I want us to take us back to that moment, when you, essentially challenged, Minister Mamoloko Kubai and Minister Chaveni. What made you decide to ask those very, very pressing, and I think we can all agree, very, very important questions?
Let's see what we've got for this conversation. But honestly, I hope you have the time.
I do.
Because context matters. Okay?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Context matters. So, I didn't just come. For some reason, the whole thing has been twisted is, Ireti just came to come and challenge and be rude to our politicians, our ministers. And if I must say, I was here in June. I came in June. As you probably remember, I did the interview with Jacinta.
Yes.
Jacinta gave me an exclusive 2 hours. Flew to Durban to meet her. Okay? That interview, at the end of that interview, she said to me, "Thank you so much. It's on the video. If any of your people want to go and watch it, just go to the..." Yeah, but I disagreed, but you were never rude to me. When the camera was off, normally I have to defend myself, but you allowed me the space to speak. So that is my form of journalism. It matters not whether I agree with you or not, but my job is to interrogate what you're saying. At the very least, ask a question. And if you check anybody, I challenge anybody to go and check that interview. Jacinta had a lot more talk time than I did. So I still don't understand, first of all, this whole thing about you interrupted her. I challenge your people to go and count the talk time. When I try to say something, if she interrupts me, I keep quiet. Because my objective was to allow her to present what she's about, what motivated her, indeed, what the grouse is, and what led to her doing this. And that's where I started the conversation from. Again, for me, it was about the world can make up their minds. It wasn't about me being there to be the judge and jury. And everybody made up their minds as they will. So that's me. When I came in June, I interviewed several people. Dr. Naledi Panda, Dr. Dale McKinley. I had roundtables that I organized with South Africans and Nigerians, NGOs, intellectuals, journalists, writers, academics. I held a whole roundtable. Why did I choose to do all of this? Because it occurred to me months ago that what was happening right now, yes, there's been the whole xenophobic protests in the past since 2008. But this moment, for me, was critically different. It had a different character. For a start, it was going on much, much longer than others. And curiously, all these other issues had happened with South Africa as a sovereign nation. But even fundamentally, what I saw was, it's very curious that Africa was beginning to applaud South Africa as becoming the leader in Africa for African unity and a country that was speaking up for Africa. Indeed, that was speaking up for human rights and justice. And all of a sudden, this is happening. And I thought, this is not normal. This Afrophobia, xenophobia isn't normal. But what was also happening was you had all these, everything, of course, these days, social media, and, Jacinta's word in this day and age, you don't know whether something's been doctored or not, which is why I thought, this is a very interesting woman. I need to get an interview with her. And isn't it ironic? And I think it might give you a clue as to why a lot of SA media are actually twisting my narrative. Jacinta chose to give me a 2-hour exclusive. Why a Nigerian journalist if I was that bad? If I was this person that they're twisting, that, disrespects this country, why would she give me a 2-hour exclusive interview? That's the first time she's done a full frame from cradle to now. I call it from Genesis to Revelation. I mean, you can tell me, have you ever seen her do one? She sat there, we were face to face. Her husband came with her. She gave me a big hug. Because and as I've said to people, interviews, journalism, we can have conversations. We can disagree without being disagreeable. I like to think that I pride myself on giving my guests the respect that they deserve, irrespective of how I feel about what they're doing or their ideology. So that's the background. So I did lots of work when I was here. I also came to see what was going on myself. I can assure you, many people were worried about me coming to South Africa. And I would say to them, are you insane? What do you mean? Why wouldn't I go? This is just ridiculous. This is not my first time in this country. I've been coming on holiday to SA, I don't know, 15 years or so. So for me, it was just ridiculous. Anyway, so I came in June. In that interview, you would have heard me say to Jacinta, I wish I could stay till the 30th, but I can't. And I couldn't stay till the 30th. But I was determined to come back because one, I wanted to do more interviews. I mean, I interviewed the president of Giwusa. I interviewed Mr. Vavi, who is the general secretary of SAFTU. I mean, I've had, I don't know, something close to between 10 and 15 interviews I've held. So when I came back this time, I interviewed in June. You'd have heard me say it at the briefing. I interviewed Mr. Baloy, William Baloy. Okay. I had a 1-hour interview with him. Really great. In fact, he gave me a South African scarf and he thanked me for coming from Nigeria to South Africa, that he wished many other African journalists were doing the same. Because it was important. For me, this was a critical moment, and it's an important moment in time. It's a historical moment in the history of Pan-Africanism, indeed in the history of South Africa itself. So doing any kind of report via what I'm seeing on social media just wasn't going to be enough for me. And just interviewing one person wasn't going to be enough, because it was clear to me that I'm pretty sure this is not the majority of South Africa, but I won't know till I go there. I won't know till I experience it myself. I won't know till I see how the people receive me. And I promise you, everybody has been worried about me. And I have not had one violent encounter, not one.
I want to touch on.
Sorry,
Ireti, because I think this is very, very important. And maybe you're leading to it. Maybe I could just fast track it a bit. Your key takeaways, having been in South Africa during this very volatile time as a Nigerian, what would you say are some of the key takeaways that are very, very important that you feel the rest of the continent and Nigeria in particular needs to know and understand?
Excellent question. Like I said, Nigerians needed to understand that this is not all of South Africa that feels like this, okay? Nigerians needed to understand that fundamental to what we're seeing now is the failure of South African government, the South African government, to not only listen to their citizens, but to deliver the rewards or the dividends of democracy of 1994 to South Africans. That indeed the youth of South Africa are actually not that different. The youth say to people, whatever you think about Jacinta, and at no time will I ever justify her methods. She knows that. But I want us to all take ourselves away from the Jacinta. What our thoughts to Africa and African leadership. I have said to Nigerians, Jacinta is a product of an African leadership that and has continued to fail its youth, its masses, which is the youth and the vulnerable citizens of Africa. And what we're seeing now is a microcosm of that. Right? I say that. The other thing that I have seen is in brutality that shocks me. When I went to Durban Old Drive-In, and I was shocked by the number of Africans, they're Congolese, who were outside, or was it Malawi? I can't remember now, in the cold. Thousands of them. Fathers, brothers, mothers, sisters, babies. That disturbed me. I have seen the Malawians outside, in the cold. That disturbed me. I have gone to, there's a place which thinks in my head now, where does that Zimbabweans get a bus from there? It looks like a petrol station. I've forgotten the name of that place. And I've seen them there with all their, luggages and stuff. I have read whilst here of the women who gave birth pavement. What I have seen will never, ever leave me. I have seen man's inhumanity to man. I have seen and witnessed the humanitarian crisis. I've also seen where it is also man that has come to the rescue of these people.
Mm-hmm.
All the NGOs, civil societies who are feeding them, giving them blankets. An embassy, my Nigerian consulate, I have seen the people sleeping out there, waiting to evacuate them. Because, of course, the embassy can't accommodate everybody.
Mm.
I have seen that. I have spoken to migrants, Africans who have lived in this country for 30 years, 20 years, who have their businesses and have to leave. And every single one of them say to me, I have gone through other, xenophobic moments, but this one is different. And it is that difference that we must deal with. Because fundamentally, when I put this to people, I say to them, look, there's been a lot of calls in Nigeria for Nigeria to respond aggressively, for Nigeria to sanctions, break off relationship, diplomatic relationship, reports. There was even a suggestion on TV by, quite a prominent colleague in the media space who's on TV, who said it's time for Nigeria to report South Africa to the ICJ for genocide. So I have seen all of that. But what I've always done in Nigeria is to say to everybody, think. And by the way, this didn't start today. It didn't start because of this. It's something that I've been doing for years. Whenever we have any friction with South Africa, I always say to them, can you stop and think? South Africa is a country that not only had apartheid, because everybody talks about apartheid, but this is a country that had over 400 years of slavery, brutal, dehumanizing, psychologically destructive slavery. And I said, we are dealing with our brothers and sisters who are still living through a trauma. We must remember that apartheid only ended a generation ago. So how dare everybody expect it to have changed so rapidly? Indeed, the body remembers. The body remembers unhealed trauma, and the mother can pass the trauma onto the unborn child. And that child will carry that trauma through because the body carries it. What is not said? When trauma becomes pathologized, this is what happens. So I'm always saying, look, I look at these moments as a family squabble. For me, this is a family. We're falling out with each other. We've got to find a way to fall back in. So I actually resent when narratives of she's come to disrespect our country. You have no idea. They have absolutely no idea. Now, let's go back to that briefing.
Yes, please.
The Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu, had made a statement that Nigeria will be seeking for compensation from South Africa for those who have had to leave their businesses behind, as a result of having to evacuate out of the country due to the xenophobic violence. Minister of Presidency is a Minister Machinveni. Did I pronounce it right?
Nchaveni.
Did I pronounce it right?
Minister in the Presidency, Chaveni, yes.
Chaveni. Yes. Minister Chaveni then responds. She responds to the compensation and pretty much says, look, there are ways to get a compensation. She said South Africa will not be compensating, but if there's compensation to be done, I'm paraphrasing her now. If there's compensation to be done, there are ways to do it, etc. Which I thought, that's fair enough, right? We're not going to discuss compensation on social media, etc. So I thought, but what she then did was she went on in that same statement and said, and I've got to read you the quote. I really have to, because it would appear that most people don't actually know what was said. Right. Hold on. She said, bear with me a second. I should have actually had this ready. I mean, I know it, but I don't want to misquote her. Do you understand?
No, understandable, yes.
She said, right. So, she said, we'll be interested to know where the drug dens of Nigerians are, so they can show us where they've been holding the drugs, so that we can clean the drugs in South Africa quite urgently. Would you like me to read that out again?
No, I think we're all familiar with it. It did the rounds, but I think it's good that you read it out as a direct quote from her.
So that was my question. My question wasn't about the compensation. As a journalist, I'm not going to pick one part. If you remember seeing the video, I said, I gave the intro saying I have two. There's actually another part of the video that they didn't see. The one that did the rounds was the second time I asked the question. The first time I asked the question, I said, I have two questions. And I said, my first question was, I listed the names that we would like an update. Can you please give an update on the following names, Nigerians who have been killed? I did not say they were killed during the xenophobia. I even gave dates. And I said, this one, extrajudicial killings. And I said, also, in addition to that, the following extrajudicial killings happened in 2022, a list of them, and it's been sent to DERCO. Can we also get an update on that? That was my first question. My second question, I then said, is to Minister Shaveni. And it's pretty much the way I said it to you. I said, my Minister of Foreign Affairs said they would be seeking compensation from South Africa. You responded to the compensation and pretty much said there's a way to do it, which was fine. And then I said, you then went on to say Nigerians, and the whole drugs thing. Okay? That was the first time. And I will send the clip of that first time I asked the question to your handle. Okay? I will send it to your WhatsApp.
Please.
I asked that question. The Minister of Justice then gets up. She doesn't address my actual question. She goes into lecturing me about compensation and the law of South Africa, which is why I said, but that's not my question. What I was asking wasn't about what she said, as in what the Minister of Presidency said, wasn't about the law. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
However, here's the thing. When you walk into that briefing, I'm not South African. That's my first experience of South African briefing on a physical form, right?
Yeah.
That I've attended. Much as, you get a welcome, the minister, what's his name? Deputy government spokesman Baloyi welcomes us to the briefing and everything. Was there 6 or 8 or so ministers in on the panel. Nobody's introduced. You do not know who they are. I just happen to know who those two women are because I had tried to interview them one-on-one on this very same trip. Are you with me now?
I'm listening.
I'd written, I had asked, I had requested, and I didn't get it. But I knew both of them. I did not know who the other people were, the other ministers were. There were no introduction, number one. Number two, there is nothing that they do not give you an overview or saying, this is how the briefing will work. So I don't know, okay? I've asked my question. I've been to several other press conferences. I've asked my question. The Minister of Justice, Kubai, I believe her name is, she starts answering my question, but doesn't, she totally turns it into about the law of South Africa, about compensation, which was why I interrupted. I said, but that was not my question. And what she said wasn't about the law.
Ireti,
are you with me?
Let me just quickly jump in and maybe ask one question and then we can continue because for the sake
Go
of
ahead.
time, the criticism that I've seen, especially on social media, coming from South Africans is the fact that we don't see as much vigor and as much enthusiasm from Africans when it comes to questioning their own governments. But it looks like when it's about South Africa, suddenly everyone is vocal. Suddenly everyone is outspoken. They can ask the ministers the quote unquote difficult questions. But we don't see you do that in your own countries. How do you respond to that?
Well, first and foremost, if any minister in Nigeria was to dare say what she said about South Africans, you see, context matters. Go to any of our handles. Heck, go to NSARS, Google NSARS and my name. You will see my video directly to my government. You remember what happened during NSARS, don't you? Right. And that video didn't go viral in Nigeria. It went viral all over the world. All over the world. And people thought I was going to get in trouble, that government was going to do something to me. I said, why would they? So what I'm saying to you is, oh my, in Nigeria, we call our governments out. We confront them. We will challenge them. If you watch Arise News or my show, or even on my radio station, Nigeria Info 99.3 FM, you will see us challenge government all the time. So that is a nonsensical statement that is based on ignorance because everybody thinks they know another country from social media. Unlike them, I got up and I came to South Africa because I didn't want to be making my decisions based on social media. So that is not true. Now tell me, as a journalist, is our job not to ask questions?
It is.
Why is this whole thing about and then the minister started going on about, first of all, she tries to belittle me by calling me my dear. Well, isn't that unprofessional? I referred to them as Madam Minister, did I not? How many South African media that were there referred to them as Madam Minister? Tell me, how many times have you heard them refer to them as that? I refer to them as Madam Minister because that is the correct term. She then goes on, Minister Kubaya, and says, my dear, I am not her dear. I am not her dear. We are not friends. Heck, I think I'm 8 years older than the woman. Not that it matters, but she tries to belittle me by saying my dear, and nobody seems to care that that is unprofessional language. Somebody is referring to you as Madam Minister, and you then go on and say my dear. And then she goes on about, no, don't disrespect. I think something about don't disrespect the country, don't disrespect our ministers. Hold on, your minister just disrespected 250 million Nigerians. 250 million Nigerians by saying Nigerians. She didn't say those Nigerians who left. She didn't say some Nigeria. She said Nigerians. And you want to lecture me about respect. So that's why you see me in the video, when she's talking about respect, I pointed to her colleague. But let me end with this. When I then finally got to ask my question, which is the video you would have seen, I said again, this is what Minister of Presidency said. And I gave her flowers. Did I not? Did you hear me actually demean any of their work? I said, Madam Kubwe, the work that you've been trying to do to douse the tensions, the work that Prime Minister Cyril Ramaphosa has been doing to douse the tensions, all the work that my colleagues who are South African in that room have been doing to douse the tensions, the work that Mr. Baloy has been doing to douse the tensions. Indeed, the work that every one of us has been doing to douse the tensions. Yet, your colleague then goes ahead and says that. And is that smart? Which I think is a valid question. Do you think you are representing the government of South Africa well? Do you think you are representing your boss? I didn't say your boss. I said President Ramaphosa well. I mean, these are valid questions. But I believe as a result of that, and by the way, the minister doesn't say a word to me. Indeed, she doesn't even give me eye contact. She doesn't say anything. She's looking down on her table. But if a journalist, a foreign journalist, is sitting there and is complimenting every single minister whose work she's aware of or whom she's had contact with about the work that they've been doing to actually douse the tensions and find a collaborative solution to the current moment. Sorry, is that person disrespecting? I need to ask. That's a direct question. Is that the South African idea of disrespecting their country?
It wouldn't be.
You and I know the amount of criticisms President Ramaphosa has been getting on the African continent with regards to how he is responding to this. But I don't say that. I said the work that he's been doing to actually douse the tensions. I gave him his flowers. But nobody hears that. Nobody heard that. Because I will, and I have every right, and I will not pull it back. I will not refrain from saying again, the question that the whole of South Africa should be asking is, why would the government minister, who is the representative of the presidency, not just any ordinary minister, actually speak about another country, Nigeria, given our strong bilateral relationships, our strong diplomatic relationship? Indeed, we often say in Nigeria that our president and your president, they're probably brothers or something. Do you understand? We say they've got bro code. Is that the way to speak? If she had spoken like, if I promise you, if she had been Nigerian and she said that, the Nigerian press would have come down on her. Forget the Nigerian press. WhatsApp, those who write articles would have taken, I promise you, the condemnation would have been national.
Ireti, unfortunately, I have to wrap up this conversation. I think we have to look for another space, another time to unpack a bit more. I still want to get a bit more insight on your experiences here in South Africa, and also what message would you be giving to Nigerians once you get back home. But unfortunately, we have really run out of time. I want to chat to you again soon. Can we make time?
Message. My message is not all South Africans. Number one. Number two, we are brothers. This is a family problem, and we have to come together to solve it. And I must finally say,
Yes.
I did not say there are no Nigerians doing drugs. I didn't say that, because that's the other thing that they're talking about on social media.
Yes.
I said to her, there are Nigerians doing other work. Why did you default to drugs?
Well, they have it. Ireti, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to chat again soon, but we're going to leave it there for now. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
There we go. Unfortunately, we have pressed out of time. I have to go to ads. We'll be back with you after this.